Hey, welcome back to another Manga Talks episode. Today I wanted to have two sections in this video talking about some types of manga that I finished recently. So one of them will be a Heta section, specifically because I finished a couple of Yoshikazu Ebisu books and I finally finished off the Justice Core series as well. And the other section will be on autobiographical manga because I recently finished this one here by Yumeno. So I think what I want to start off first with is we'll talk about the Heta first, because of course it's been a while since I have shown off Goto Yuka especially. So the first thing I'll do is I'll show off these guys here. Okay, so recently I finished these two books. So this is Pachinko and this is I Ain't Got No Think, both by Yoshikazu Ebisu. So Pachinko is a collection of Ebisu's earlier works, and then I Ain't Got No Think is just a later collection of his manga. So the first one that I finished was this here. So the reason why I chose to pick up this, well, I've had this on my shelf for quite a while, but the reason why I chose to read this recently was because I read the actual title story, which was Ebisu's debut in Garo recently. So it was in a 1973 issue. So this is the inside, the back, and the inside as well. So there will be heavy censoring, I would say, in this. But yeah, that was the reason why I picked this up and actually, finished it. So a really fun one because this focuses on Ebisu's earlier stuff. So you can kind of tell and see Ebisu's kind of growth in his work. So for example, the debut work is, I've kind of talked about it in the manga magazine episode anyways, but it's about this guy who's trying to find a pachinko parlor but is unable to do so, and throughout his journey, you get a lot of his monologue, him commenting on the trains around him, the people around him, that sort of thing. But yeah, that made me pick up this book, and it was a great book as well because it's got that signature Ebisu humor in it, very dark, very erotic, but at the same time you can kind of see him starting to feel what he wants to do, I guess, for his manga. So there's a couple of insane stories where or like funny ones as well, where it's just like this person, it's called Eel Day. He's out fishing, but he gets like a plate that tells him he's gonna die soon. He throws it down and a shard just hits his eye, so he's just in a lot of pain. And then he jumps on an eel that offers to get him to an eye doctor. And so when he gets there, he is healed, and then they eat the eel for like dinner, but I guess karma, because they all start just like spewing blood and all of that. But yeah, it's man, I'm just realizing a lot of this is tough to show, but stuff like that. These are also very short stories as well, because if you noticed the table of contents, there's a lot of stories in here, and some of them are less than like 10 pages, so 8 pages or so. So there's a lot to go through, but if you love that variety and you want to see early Ebisu stuff, then this is a really good book. So another favorite chapter of mine was this one here. So this one's called the Man Who Saw Hell. And it's just very nonsensical. This guy's just minding his own business. Another guy walks in and he just asks him like, do you want to see hell? Or he asks him like, have you seen hell before? And he's like, obviously no. So he's like, all right, I'll show you hell. And so he chokes him to the point where he starts like seeing these illusions of his head flying off. And he's like, oh, I don't want to see it. He's going crazy there. And he comes back to reality and like, there it is. I just showed you hell. It's so weird. It's really weird, but I love it because it's different. It's still different from Ebisu's later works for like, I Want to Be an Idiot or what's it called? Teachers from Hell? Something Hell. I forgot the name of the English release, but yeah, it's still very different from his later works, which I enjoy a lot. Because, yeah, other than that, and there's also a couple crazy ones which I cannot show off at all. Actually, I feel like I can't show off any of the later stuff. Not really. So unfortunately, I can't really show anything else, but it is a very good book. This was put out in 2016. So a lot of it, I think, if I go to the back page, I believe it tells us where, no it doesn't. Okay, I thought it would tell us where the chapters came from, but a lot of them are from Garo. Anyways, so that was Pachinko, and then we've got I Ain't Got No Think. This one was released, of course, a bit later, and another cool one because they have a color page, this one. And this one I really enjoyed. So here's the inside, here's the back. There it is there. The first chapter, I think, is one of my favorite things that Ebisu has done. And as well, short chapters, a lot of stories in here. But look at that page. Very, very iconic. I love the composition of that. But the first chapter is called Closed Room Murder Case, and it's in a lovely pink color throughout. And we start off with these detectives being like, just thinking, like, man, they're trying to make out how this murder happened. And what they're referring to is this over here. So they have stumbled upon a case where they need to figure out why a whole family was killed inside their home. And they are super, super stressed because they cannot figure it out. And then we just flash back to this family being like, you know what? Let's just make and create a perfect murder case that cannot be solved. And they're like planning it out, just like, oh, all right, we're gonna do this. So we're gonna make sure that there's the clues set like this and this. We're gonna put up an image of some maybe adultery to trick the detectives and all that, and we're also going to kill each other as well. So they actually do kill each other, and then that's how it ends there, and the detectives just losing it, like, how did this even happen? So it's really funny because it's the family acts in this very Ebisu type of character. Like, they are very, I don't know, it's, I guess it's hard for me to describe, but they're very, like, all matter of fact, like, all right, this is how we're going to do this, look, but they're smiling, the kid's like, all right, let's do this. And it feels like a lot of the characters in Ebisu's works are like that. They'll have, like, the straightest faces on when they're doing the craziest things, and the next chapter as well is also quite funny, just opening up with this guy just hanging from the roof. I think this is because, his mum hangs him up because he tries to take her money, but it gets very violent because some of the guys come in and, like, they beat her up and stick her in the toilet, and then when they're out boat racing, they see the curse or the ghost of her slowing down the boat that they bet on, and they get angry and just beat up the guy's son. So stuff like that. Some stories that we get, and a lot of these are also from Garo as well. There's this one here that is titled It's Okay If You Don't Understand, on the left, where, again, with the same thing I was talking about, the Ebisu characters, you have these two characters here that they're like employee and boss talking normally. In the background, you have another employee and boss combo where the boss is just like abusing the employee, and it's just taken as a given there, pretty normal. And so it's just happening all in the background, and now the two in the foreground finally also do the same thing. But it goes a little bit too far when the guy dies, and so they have to, like, shove him off, throw him off a building. And for some reason, there's pigs on the bottom. And when a police officer comes up, he tells off the pigs for cannibalism. And so the pigs are just like, they just run away. So it's another insane collection of stories in this one, at least. So I feel like every single Ebisu book that I have read so far, which I think in total maybe got to be 4 or 5 now. All of them have had like standout stories. So it's just Ebisu that is, you know, a great artist and mangaka. Not just in the Heta Uma, you know, section, but just I think just as a mangaka in general. But yeah, some other stories I cannot show, but that's the general vibe of this one at least. So I would still, out of the two, I would prefer this one, but it's still really cool seeing Ebisu's older works, earlier works, debut stuff. But yeah, a lot of these you can find in Gara as well. Not every single one of them, because they do vary, but a lot of them you will see in Gara. So yeah, those are the first 2 Heta Uma reads that I've had recently, and then we'll go to the Justice Core series. The reason why I'm showing this now is because I finally finished it after like a year and a bit, because previously I had finished volume 1, 2 and 3, but then number 4 I just didn't touch for over a year. I checked, it was over a year, I just never finished. I don't know why, but finally finished it. Sad that it's ended because it was such a fun series, but happy that, you know, there was 4 volumes to begin with. It felt like something that wouldn't really get 4 volumes, but it was really cool to see it pan out this way. So just to show off first couple volumes. Well, this is Seigitai or Justice Core by Goto Yuka, a Heta Uma artist who serialized this in Seiden Kogeisha, and some of these have color pages as well, but it's essentially following a group of vigilantes protecting the peace in the city. And some of them are weird, some of them are like, you know, normal humans, some of them, you've got a dog, you've got an alien, you've got a taxi driver, you've got everyone in the squad fighting against weird supernatural creatures, but also fighting against weird humans as well. And it's very fun because it's very like, it's not slapstick, but there's a lot of physical fighting that looks very cool and very funny when in this sort of Heta Uma style by Goto Yuka. But the last volume here is cool because in the volume itself, they also give you, here it is, these little flyers here. So these are recruitment flyers for the Justice Corps, and the reason why they're like this because they'll explain the story. It does relate to the story. So if you don't want spoilers, I guess don't look at this part of the video. But the last volume of Justice Corps pretty much goes in the same type of structure where every chapter we're fighting a different enemy. We've got a couple of weird ones here that, you know, they got to go down to the base to find. So it's the usual Seigitai stuff that they do. So it's very fun. Here they are, just like going down even further underground, different infighting and different factions and everything. They've got a mole here that transports them to. It is insane. But the section where the flyers come through is just towards the end. Yeah, there's also this whole thing where they the Justice Corps, they got baited. They were told to go on a plane to get like an antidote for some insect virus, but this lady was faking it the whole time, and there was no such thing as a virus. And so when they were on a plane, they got ambushed, and they had to fight on the plane. So very tense stuff. You've got, I think his name was Sammy, stuck on a on a plane wing. But yeah, it's really funny. Just nice, dumb fun to read through. Very easy to read through as well. Most of it is like, you know, visual based, action based. And essentially they save the plane and they save the world and all that, or the city. And on the plane, at the end, they dump all of these flyers, and these are the flyers here. So it's like, yeah, recruitment, like we want you, that sort of thing. And that's how the story ends. So this is nice as well. Chip is the name of the dog. And we've got the flyers here. So a couple of them in different languages. These are the back. None of them in English, unfortunately, but we've got Japanese, Korean, Chinese and maybe Russian or something like that. But very nice addition to the book. It really like, even these like small things really make the book stand out. So yeah, finally finished after so long. I'm just sad that this feels like something you'd watch every weekend or read every weekend, like in the morning or something, like Saturday mornings. It's a fun read, but as of right now, Goto Yuka hasn't really put out anything new. I've seen, you know, chapters here and there in like Acts, for example, but I'm not sure of the updates of that, because recently, or not recently, the most recent Acts issue I read had a new chapter called, or a new series called The Batman by Goto Yuka. I'm not sure if that's ongoing still, but I'll have to check that out when I do get back into Acts reading. Yeah, so that was the first section of the video, Heta Uma. Always gotta love that. Now we'll move on to the next section, which is autobiographical manga. Alright, so yeah, the recent read that I had was this one over here. So this is by an artist named Yumeno, and it's something that translates to like what was it? I think I wrote down, a father with a sick heart, a mother who believes in God. So it's a autobiographical manga that focuses on the childhood and the growing up in a family where their father had developed schizophrenia due to like a couple of different factors, but like a lot of it was stress from work, and also living in an environment where, you know, their mum was religious, and the conflicts in views between the father and the mum. So it was quite an interesting read. So I will talk about like other autobiographical manga as well, but this one specifically is I do like the art style, very very simple, and also easy to read as well. But I think the main thing when it comes to autobiographical manga is, for me, I can't read them all the time. I think that's pretty like normal, because a lot of the autobiographical manga I've seen, at least, pretty heavy. You know, they're focusing on sad or difficult times of the mangaka, and it's because it's happened to someone real, and all these events are real or mostly real. There's a different sense of weight to reading a manga like this compared to reading something that is fictional. So, for example, Yumeno, their father, like the first part of the story is just focusing on how slowly, with the accumulation of stress, their father had developed schizophrenia, and how that has impacted the family, and also some backstory to how the two got married, because the father had gone through, it wasn't an arranged marriage, I don't think, but like the mother didn't really know about the father's background. Like, he did not believe in the same views that she did in terms of religion. And at the same time, I do want to preface as well, in the afterword of this, the author talks about how she actually got her parents' permission to draw all of this and to portray both of them, their lives, everything that happened as well. And it's pretty interesting because the ending of this story, as like it is in real life, you know, it's still ongoing. There's no full closure to things. But essentially, the middle part of the story watches as the father kind of descends even more. He tries to go to hospital, he rejects it. There's a lot more conflict between him and his wife, him and Yumeno, and also Yumeno's brother as well. And so most of the story kind of focuses on the father, but towards the end we do see more of how it impacts Yumeno as well, which I think I actually thought most of the story was going to be focused on how it affected Yumeno, but not really. It was mainly focused on the father, which was something that just was different to what I expected, I guess. But towards the end, we kind of see some sort of recovery with the father when he also gets into religion as well. But he is kind of overzealous in it, where he is so obsessed with it, even his wife kind of feels it's a bit too much, and he becomes quite radical as well. But this is, for example, the brother of Yumeno, so a very strenuous relationship between the father and everyone, as well. And Yumeno also talks about how she kind of became a shut-in as well, skipped classes too. So a lot of different impacts on their living environment. But this end here is where, they go through afterward, they go through how they talked to their parents about it. Initially, they did not want to have it drawn, but she kind of explained it, and even the father got really enthusiastic towards the end. So like, I think he started providing all these like resources on religion as well. So yeah, and another thing is as well, the Yumeno also states in the start of the story that there's no intent to debate or affirm or deny like any religious beliefs at all. It's just her life. She's just writing it as it happened. So yeah, and I think with the now connecting it back to some other autobiographical manga. So this, for example, is Sayonara mo iwaずに. This was I did a manga spotlight on this one because this was quite a heavy one, but a really creative autobiographical story about loss of the mangaka's wife that was drawn and like laid out really creatively. But yeah, another heavy story about a mangaka going through the death of his wife that I did a full video on. Maybe it's probably been a year ago now, but that's another example of an autobiographical manga that I've read. And this one is going to be the next one because this is by a author named Umimi Saijo. I've read another one of their works, but this is going to be the next one that I'll read. So the first work that I read from them was focusing on, again, family, going through like divorce, living with step siblings, and how that impacted their own life. And so this one apparently is looking more of the author's struggles with alcoholism. So it's quite a long one, quite wordy as well. So, but either way, this will be whenever I do get to it, my next autobiographical manga read. But yeah, coming back to the manga, I guess, genre in total, I also had another one which I couldn't find. It was somewhere. I've got the Bunko edition of My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness by Kabi Nagata. Very, very good a collection of autobiographical manga from them. But yeah, talking about, I'll just call them auto manga from now, just because I hate saying the word autobiographical every single time. So from now in the video, I'm just going to call them auto manga. So for auto manga, I think what really draws me to them is, this is just me talking myself. I think some of this might be obvious, but I just wanted to talk about auto manga in general, is that they're not black and white. They normally don't have full closure by the end of the stories because, these are real lives, and these are people that have decided to retell their story and put a creative spin on it. And at the same time as well, yes, it is auto manga, so it is nonfiction, but at the same time, you've got to approach, I feel like, auto manga with a level of healthy skepticism where it's like, yes, it's one person's perspective. They are showcasing their life through their lens, but at the same time, they are incorporating all these other people in their lives as well and trying to like, they're in the stories. So, you don't have the perspective of this other character or this other family member. So that, I think, is a good mindset to approach when it comes to auto manga, is that, yes, all this is from one person's perspective. We should, respect that, but at the same time, think as well, okay, there are other people in this person's life and they also have their own perspectives too. So that's coming back to the not black or white aspect of it. But, it is realistic in that sense where it's, again, not black or white. And also, I was explaining at the start as well, or I mentioned it, the weight of reading these as well is very, it's a lot more real because we do know that real people have gone through this, and for a lot of them, putting out this auto manga is a way for them to express a lot of like negative emotions as well, kind of a venting, a form of venting too. But even through, it is nonfiction, but even through that, like creativity can really shine. Where this is, I think, so far my favorite example of it, where because the person is a mangaka, they really reference a lot of like manga. They reference a lot of manga, and they also, in their composition of their works as well, they have a lot of like visual metaphors too. So reading this it's very dynamic in terms of the panels, in terms of the way a character is shown, how events are shown as well. So, for example here, I think there was like blood on the page. We've got a whole page here of references to different manga, like Nagashima Shinji, Devilman, I think Barefoot Gen, so a lot of different things. But yeah, because they're so real and so heavy, my appetite is limited to when I want to read these, but I think I do want it to be a somewhat consistent part of my reading schedule, because it's nice to balance fiction with non-fiction. And yeah, I think like definitely with Kabi Nagata as well. I've only got just their lesbian experience with loneliness book, one of the really standout releases in manga in the Western world in like the past couple of years. They have a lot of other books, which is unfortunate but also fortunate. Fortunate for us because we get some amazing manga from Kabi Nagata, but unfortunate because they have to go through, they're going through a lot of stuff in their life, and so yeah, you feel bad that they continue to draw this, and that they're going through all these different things as well. But it also gives you that sense of unity and I guess solace as well, knowing that there are people out there struggling with things that you may have experienced or you may have not experienced. It's just a really interesting part of manga, which I feel is not talked about as much, and I think fair enough. It's a very small world in manga. Most of manga is fiction, but stuff like this is I think a very nice touch to the manga reading experience and the manga journey. And I guess going back to now, I was talking about auto manga, but other manga based on, I would say, for example, historical manga. So that too, kind of similar, where you approach it with a healthy level of skepticism. Some historical works try to stay true as much as they can to the original events. Some have like little that connects them, which is, they're both great. Like for example, Innocent by Shinichi Sakamoto, that doesn't really fully follow everything. They introduced like characters that didn't even exist in history, and I think it's just the intent at the end of the day, like the intent to portray either a really accurate representation of the historical events, or to put a spin on things. But yeah, I guess that's kind of what I had to say about auto manga. Just another interesting part of manga that I don't really talk about too much, and fair enough, I've only read a couple of them throughout the hundreds of manga that I have read. But I do recommend, if you are up for it, if you want to experience a different part of manga that is, from what I've seen, mostly like sadder, on the sadder side, the heavier side. Don't get me wrong, there are manga that are more positive, talking about like the wins in someone's life, but a lot of the ones I've seen are looking at the losses. But you could also have neutral ones, where I think I saw recently on Manga Planet, there was one by Hokazono Masaya, I think his name was, the horror manga, just doing a non-fiction manga just on his experience just writing manga. So that's kind of like in the middle, where if you're interested in someone's process and creative decisions, then that could be cool as well. So yeah, I think that'll be my section on auto manga. If you have any of your own opinions, let me know. Or if you have any recommendations on some good auto manga, that would be cool to see as well. But hopefully in my manga journey I will continue to read more and more, just to give some good balance to everything. But yeah, so that will be today's video. I think it's a little bit, I was gonna say it was a short one, but nope, it's 30 minutes. But yeah, 2 sections of that. In the next video I plan to, well, we'll see, but I am planning to go through or talk more about the manga collection that I have. So what I mean by that is how many books I've read, method of deciding what to read next, my motivations to read, and I am thinking, it's tentative at the moment, but I'm thinking of maybe talking about some manga that I have changed my opinions on. So that will be interesting because I'll have to look through my list again and try to see which manga I have altered my opinions on over the years. So that would, it just sounded like a fun idea to me. It just randomly popped up to me while a couple of days ago. So that one will take a while to kind of figure out, because I have to just go through and see what my opinions, whether my opinions have changed or not. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this one. See you in the next one. Bye.